Hi, I'm Dr. Nick and I'm the Incrementalist. Today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. I found that this has been one of the top performing posts that I've made on all of the social media channels. It's generated the most commentary, the most interest, so I thought it would be worth digging in a little to understand what it is, how it might apply to you, and what's the science behind it. First of all, what is intermittent fasting? Well, it's in its simplest form, eat, stop, eat. So you eat on one day, don't eat the next day, eat the following day. And you might do that on a regular cycle. There are different variations on this. So the 5-2 program, where for 5 days you eat normally, 2 days that are not adjacent to each other, you eat a limited calorie diet. So somewhere between 500, sometimes going up as high as 1,000 calories. In my particular instance, I found 24-hour fasting once a week works really well for me. And what do? I stop eating Sunday evening. On Monday, I don't eat anything. I will drink. That includes coffee, but not with any milk. And then the next time I eat is on Tuesday morning. That's a very simple way of reducing your calorie intake. In fact, it's as simple as 1/7 less calories without thinking about calorie counting. So what's the science behind it? Let's take a look. So what's the science behind intermittent fasting? Well, there's been a number of studies. There's certainly a lot of interest in it, and it's relatively simple to actually follow the instructions, which I think is why it's quite popular with people. There's also a lot of folks who believe that this is something that's been happening in certain cultures for a long time. So there's fasting that goes on as part of a cultural norm. But what's the science that supports this? Well, I'll link to some of the studies that you can find. I don't think there's anything conclusive about it. And much like many of these programs, it's a question of what suits you. You have to think about this and your body and what suits you. And I know what suits me doesn't in fact suit my wife. She doesn't like the whole intermittent fasting. And that's actually one of the downsides in this. If you do this, it can be quite antisocial because so much of what we do revolves around food. So is this right for you? I don't know the answer to that. The question is, will it suit your particular circumstances? As for what it does, the pros, well, it certainly can influence or positively impact your insulin response. It can decrease fat. There's some suggestion that it may improve immunity. It certainly allows the body to adapt or adjust to lack of calories. So all of those are good things. I think the big con is it may not suit you if you end up being ravenously hungry, or indeed, more importantly, if you end up binge eating at the end of these experiences. That's probably not a good thing. So what's the incremental step? I would suggest try it. Perhaps try one of these 5-2, so nothing too severe. Start with a program that says, I'm only going to do this for one day, and I'm going to restrict my calories to 500 in the first instance. That's not too hard for somebody in the first experience. So you could try that. So incremental approach, try it, but don't do the most severe version of this. If it works, step up to some other examples. I've got some friends who say that they do this on a basis more frequently, so more than once a week, and interestingly, not just for 24-hour periods, sometimes for longer. I wouldn't advise that, and I would say specifically you shouldn't be doing that if you have any kind of eating disorders or problems, and certainly all of this should be done in conjunction with good hydration, so making sure that you drink appropriately. So, incremental step, try it. Try one of the simple versions. If it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, go back to something else. This is not a fix-all. None of these things are. It's finding what works. And maybe you can do it on a 5-2 basis, or maybe you do it the 18-hour one, where you don't eat for 18 hours, but between 12 and 6 p.m. you eat and eat as much as you want, as long as that's not binge eating. So try one of those programs. If it works for you, extend it, do some more. It's working really well for me. I've been very pleased. I certainly don't feel like I'm suffering as a result of it. If you like this video, if you could like it in the comments below, I'd appreciate it. If you didn't, leave me some comments. Let me know what I can do better. and give me some ideas. This one actually came from somebody. This was a suggestion from one of the people that watched one of my previous videos, so I appreciate the feedback. Otherwise, I'm Dr. Nick. I'm the Incrementalist. Don't let perfection stand in the way of progress.